Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
The mistake really is there's too much BS floating out there, and now it's out of our hands. There's no way to control it, so now they're saying they're going to control it. I want to see what they're going to do.
My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex.
All right.
What'd she say?
We haven't checked in on the mayhem emanating from The View in a long time, she basically said. You may also believe that they have calmed down. Absolutely not. Their usual woke silliness is still going strong, but this time they were apprehended. Enter the unexpected team of Bill Maher and Karoline Leavitt, who collaborated to successfully close them down. Yes, it was everything. This time, what kinds of wild beliefs were the women of The View spreading? And how did Karoline and Bill react, striking the perfect mix between candid comedy and the unadulterated truth? Don't worry, we've got all the highlights, even the mic drop situations. Hold on tight. It will be an exciting journey.
Take him seriously and take him literally.
I don't think that we have to. I think it would be remiss of us to not say Joe Biden knows how to do this. Yes, he knows how to do this. He's quite good at this. And you know, you can't refute anything with him because he just, when I say him, I mean...
He rambles.
Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just...
But can I mention one thing?
You might wonder why Bill Maher is now calling for less hostility across political groups. Maher's gradual shift to the right has apparently not been well received by The View's female members. For them, what was the last straw? He recently ate dinner with Trump, the former president. In a recent episode, Whoopi Goldberg was furious and chastised Maher for the audacity to have dinner with the man they consider to be their greatest public rival. She was determined not to mention his name.
Dare you be so flippant, man? Listen, nobody on the planet really wants to go through this. This is not something we're doing because it's, fully gratifying. This is what we're doing to protect our families. And you don't have to do it, but stay away from everybody.
Whoopi's crude outburst was just the beginning. After that, Bill Maher's persona was totally destroyed. She couldn't believe Maher had gone too far by having dinner with the man they had spent years disparaging. For Whoopi and the other panelists, this was more than just a lunch. It was a simple act of treachery. Furthermore, they held that no amount of reason, humor, or candid conversation could possibly make up for the heinous sin of sitting down with the so-called devil.
You know, 12 days ago, I had dinner with President Trump, a dinner that was set up by my friend Kid Rock, because we share a belief that there's got to be something better than hurling insults from 3,000 miles away. And let me first say that to all the people who treated this like it was some kind of summit meeting, you're ridiculous. Like I was going to sign a treaty or something. I have no power. I'm a comedian, and he's the most powerful leader in the world. I'm not the leader of anything, except maybe a contingent of centrist-minded people who think there's got to be a better way of running this country than hating each other every minute.
Anyone who knew Bill Maher would know that he was not going to ignore this. As anticipated, he delivered. In a recent episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, the comedian attacked Whoopi Goldberg and anyone else who was taken aback by his visit to the White House. With his signature blend of biting humor and sharp analysis, Maher tore it apart piece by piece, making their outrage clear. He doesn't need their permission, and he's not asking for it. It was vintage Maher, feisty, unrepentant, and razor sharp.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class?
I know as I say that, millions of liberal sphincters just tightened. Oh my God, Bill, are you going to say something nice about him? What I'm going to do is report exactly what happened. You decide what you think about it. And if that's not enough pure Trump hate for you, I don't give a f.
Before he conducted his verbal assault on Whoopi Goldberg, which I will play shortly, Maher made one thing very clear. He reminded everyone that since this is still America, Where democracy still has purpose, disagreements don't have to turn into anger, and having different opinions doesn't have to equal hostility. You don't have to lose your mind just because someone sees the world differently. It's called civilized discourse, and the women of The View seem to have given up on it along with last week's headlines. Maher wasn't the only one defending himself. He was promoting the notion that conflicts may be settled amicably. Doesn't it make sense? Whoopi, on the other hand, took exception at what she saw as a personal shot at Maher.
I want to talk about Whoopi Goldberg because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before.
Sure.
So everybody was like, oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma. First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. But there is no thing as karma, okay? Get over that. Whoopi attacks me on a regular basis. She says stupid on a regular basis. It just happened to coincide.
When Whoopi went so far as to compare Trump to Kamala Harris, she unintentionally made her not-so-secret wish known that the vice president should have invited Maher to dinner instead. If that were true, she wouldn't have flinched. It is possible that she would have personally thrown the party. If Maher had been praising Kamala instead of Trump, Whoopi would have clapped like a seal whenever he did. However, because they were made by Trump, those exact words were seen as betrayal. Consistency and values are unrelated to this. It was the worst kind of partisanship. Whoopi just made that clear to everyone.
But life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.
That kind of strength is rare these days and deserves real appreciation, especially because Whoopi's outburst drew criticism from all quarters, with some even demanding her resignation. But Maher didn't pretend to be the victim. His stronger adherence to his principles is what distinguishes him. He did not, however, finish without dropping a few of his own bombs.
We have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and sex, and all of this other BS, quite frankly.
Oh no. Did Whoopi Goldberg really compare herself to a hunter? And Bill Maher to a lion? You heard right. Regardless of your opinion of Maher, he is an accomplished writer. He wasn't wrong, to be honest. In this odd media safari, Goldberg hurried in like a heroic hunter, guns blazing, desperate to kill the suspected traitor. But by being shown as the victim, Maher turned the narrative on its head. Rather than fleeing, he responded with sharp shots and clever repartee she never expected. In the end, it wasn't the lion that limped away. It seemed to shake the hunter. And while Maher was calming things down, White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt was just getting started.
And the irony in all of this is that Joe Biden and the Democrats and these ladies on The View constantly say President Trump is the alleged threat to democracy, when in fact they themselves are wishfully thinking that President Trump will be imprisoned when he has not been convicted of any crimes. That is the real threat to democracy. Voters see that, and that's why President Trump continues his dominance.
Leavitt is absolutely correct. The moral collapse brought about by modern wokeness has impacted practically every aspect of society and left a trail of real suffering in its wake. What was first portrayed as progress and empathy has turned into a divisive force of censorship, identity politics, and division. News outlets are no longer primarily concerned with facts. They tell tales. Instead of knowledge, universities create dogma. Political parties prioritize virtue signals over workable solutions. Even the healthcare sector is not exempt as ideology begins to take precedence over patient care and science. This cultural shift is significant. There is a severe crisis. Wakefulness isn't fixing our society. It is exhausting it. Whoopi! Goldberg is more than just another opinionated host. She now stands for the same mentality that is permeating public discourse. Her unwavering commitment to woke ideology shows how easily the influence of celebrities can be manipulated to suppress, criticize, and smear anyone who dared to differ. Rather than encouraging sincere conversation, she feeds the flames of a cancel-happy culture that is ruining society. Then, Karoline Leavitt put Whoopi under even more strain.
Stake really is, there's too much BS floating out there, and now it's out of our hands. There's no way to control it, so now they're saying they're going to control it. I want to see what they're going to do.
My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex.
Karoline Leavitt took a strong stance against those bitter panelists. Let's be honest, they got it coming. For years, The View's women have been supplying their loyal viewers with a steady diet of false information, spin, and outright fabrications. All of it ends with heartfelt words. Consider how they once hailed Joe Biden as the best thing that had ever happened to America, even though it was becoming increasingly clear that he was struggling with cognitive issues in front of everyone. Next is Kamala Harris, whom they proclaimed to be the rescuer of democracy. Even though it's pure propaganda, she usually finds it difficult to put together a coherent argument without bursting into a jumble of buzzwords, adorned with pearls, fancy clothes, and loud laughter. Luckily though, Leavitt did not appear. She used facts, poise, and a strong backbone to shatter their illusions in front of a national audience. Of course, Whoopi Goldberg tried to reply in her usual fashion, but Leavitt's answer was exceptional. Leavitt revealed the contradiction of a woman who promotes peace and tolerance, yet gets angry when someone simply eats with a former president she hates. She reminded the nation that being a great leader means standing by your principles rather than giving in to the loudest crowd. This was more than just a viral moment. It was a cautionary tale. The foundations of unchecked woke mania were undermined with each truth bomb she dropped. The exceptional pairing of Karoline Leavitt and Bill Maher ultimately exposed The View's emotional theatrics and theatrical rage. When Whoopi Goldberg lost her temper after one dinner, the unsettling truth was revealed. The least degree of tolerance is shown by those who have argued for it the most. Maher refused to give up. Leavitt took the initiative, and the two of them tore through the illusions generated by the media elite. This headline lasted for a long time. It functioned as a cultural marker. As more Americans become aware, the old games of shame and spin are losing ground. The tide is changing, and truth is regaining ground. That brings today's program to a close. If you like bold, unedited opinions, please click the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Share it with your friends. Thank you for viewing, and we hope to see you again soon.